Okay, so now a3, preparing for b4. Here Hans responds with rook to b8 with the clear intention of playing b5. And now knight to d2, which opens the diagonal of this light square bishop, and now this knight is ready to be rerouted on c4. Bishop to c7, knight to c4, and in the next move white is going to capture this knight, and after that वापस से बोल रहा हूँ यहाँ से final. Okay, so now knight to c4, and you can see in the next move white is going to capture this knight, and after that this e5 pawn. So to stop this, Hans defends the pawn by pushing f6, and now Aravindh goes for an aggressive move f4, challenging the e5 pawn, and basically this exchange will open the f file for this rook. But Niemann strikes from the other side. He goes for and now white can continue this game by capturing on e5, because after knight takes e5, now comes knight to f5, and since this d5 square is now opened for this light square bishop, where this bishop can jump anytime, so that's why king to h8 might be the best option, so that he can he can prevent from any check. Knight takes e7, queen takes e7, and if white tries to break the center by d4, simply takes, queen takes d4, and now black can consider this strong move bishop to c6, trying to neutralize this strong bishop, and if bishop takes c6, knight takes c6, attacking this queen, so queen to e4, asking for queen exchange, queen takes e4, knight takes e4, and rook at f goes to e8, and you can see this game will continue like this. And here white can go for knight to d6, and if rook takes e2, now comes bishop to f4, and in the next move white will bring this rook to c1, which creates more pressure over the knights, and by this you can see this position will be slightly better for white. Okay, so in the actual game, after black castles, here Aravindh goes for f5, which is a slight inaccurate, because now Hans immediately goes for knight to d4. This is like a dream outpost for this knight, because from d4 the knight attacks the e2 pawn, and it also puts that direct pressure on the f5 pawn. Here white kingside structure get loosened, and suddenly black pieces becomes much more active with better squares and clear targets. Here Aravindh supports the f5 pawn by playing g4. Okay, so now bishop to d2, and now Hans rerouted his knight, this light square bishop to e8, because previously there were no great targets, no great targets this bishop was aiming at, but rerouting it to f7 will give a strong diagonal to this bishop, which is eyeing the queen side. And now basically he goes for knight to f4, which also opens the diagonal for this this bishop. Bishop to f7, and now bringing this rook to the c file might be the best option for white, but instead he goes for bishop to c3, which is a mistake, because yes, he wants to attack this active knight on d4, but previously this bishop on d2 was keeping an eye over the black king, but after removing the bishop from d2, it allows black to accelerate his initiative, because now Niemann instantly goes for the move b4. He attacks this bishop. After takes, c takes b4, bishop to d2, And after that he immediately goes for bishop to b3, which attacks the queen. Here Aravindh slides the queen to e1, and since white is now threatening to capture on a7, so to defend this, knight at c goes to b5. And now the move rook to a6 must be considered for white, so that he can support the knight, and it also creates some pressure over the 6th rank, and it also stops this move from this queen from coming to b6. But instead of this move, Aravindh made a mistake by rook to c1. He basically wants to play knight to c4 so that he can block the diagonal of this light square bishop. But the problem with that move is now Hans immediately brings his bishop back to g8, and now you can see black pieces are placed are simply more active and perfectly harmonized around the center, especially the knight on d4, which is a dream outpost that white cannot remove comfortably, and it is supported by the knight on b5 and the bishop on g8, which is an amazing outpost for this bishop, which is eyeing the queen side. This knight constantly targets squares like e2 and c2 and restrict white position. Meanwhile, white is quite cramped. The bishop have not a good squares where they can go. So basically he goes for now rook to d1. He might be worried about the move knight to b3, which is going to target this rook. Okay, so now knight to b3 by Hans, attacking this bishop as well as preparing for knight at b goes to d4. Here Aravindh goes for knight to c4, knight takes d2, rook takes d2. He captured with the rook because maybe he wants to place this queen on the king side so that he can target the black king. Okay, so now Hans advances with the b3, which is an outstanding move. He advances the pawn as well as opens the b4 square for this bishop so that he can target the rook and the queen. So that's why he simply slides his queen to g3. And now Aravindh goes for g5. Basically, he wants to open the g file, but Hans simply goes for a3. And let's suppose if white captured on a3, knight takes a3, asking for knight exchange, which obviously white can't accept, because if knight takes a3, bishop takes a3, and by all of this, you can see black gets a strong passer, which is supported by the bishop and the rook. So that's why after the move, let me go back to a3, e3. Maybe he wants to double his rook on the second file, so that second rank, so that he can keep an eye over the a2 pawn. Now Hans just captured on g5, and guys, there's something crazy which Hans missed. Let me go back to the move e3. Yup, basically after this move, here black can consider this amazing move a2. And in the next move, this rook can support this pawn from getting promoted, so that he can promote. So to stop this, if white goes for, let's suppose, rook at d goes to d1, now I just want you all to pause the video and try to find the next move which black can play in this position. And the move is to sacrifice the knight by knight to a3. And let's suppose if white captured this knight, now you can see basically black is now threatening to push b2, but this knight on c4 was keeping an eye over this square. So that's why we will now firstly removes this by bishop takes c4, and after d takes c4, and now comes this another crazy move, queen takes d1, because after takes b2, and you can see now black is just one step away from promotion, and black can only capture one pawn at a time. So the move like knight to c3 is not going to work because yes, this can stop this pawn but not this a pawn. So let's suppose if he tries to stop this by the queen, simply b1 equal to queen, rook takes b1, rook takes b1, and you can see now this is completely lost for white. Okay, so let me go back to the original game. So after f takes g5, knight takes g5, but capturing on a3 might be the better option for white. And again the move a2 is possible, but Hans simply missed that. He goes for rook to b6, so that white cannot push this pawn to f6. And now going to e8, preparing for bishop to f6 so that he can pin this knight. So that's why d4, but knight to c4, asking for knight exchange so that he can bring this light square bishop into the game. Okay, so now going to c8, guarding this knight as well as putting some pressure over the f5 pawn. And here for white, it's better to just exchange the knights, because after takes, queen takes c4 and then rook at f goes to f1. So that black can't create a threat to promote this b pawn. But after after queen to c8, here Aravindh made a mistake by rook to c2. And that's a mistake because now Hans goes for this amazing move, knight takes e5. He sacrificed his queen because after rook takes c8, and now rook to c1 check is coming, and by that black will promote. So that's why to stop this, Aravindh tries to block the c file with knight to c5, but simply bishop takes c5. Here Aravindh goes for bishop to e4 so that he can do something, but simply knight to c4, and you can see the threat. He basically captured this bishop, but rook takes c5, and since knight to d2 is coming, so to stop this, he brings his queen back to the second file. And now you can see slowly black is building pressure over the white position. And now it's better to just slide this queen to this g2 square, but he made a mistake by queen to e2 because of knight to c3. Queen to d3, knight takes b1, and now comes f6, threatening mate in 1. So to stop this, he just basically he gives up the exchange. Queen takes d5, g takes f6, and now he gives a check. King to g7, and guys, now comes god level king walk by Hans Niemann. Just watch carefully how he done this. And in the next move, black is going to promote. Here Aravindh gives a final check by queen to c5, but the final move by Niemann is king to e2, and in this position Aravindh resigned. This is because now no one can stop this pawn from promotion. And if white tries to give some check like queen to f2, simply king to d1, and now you can see there are no more further checks because this knight is covering the f3 and f1 square where this queen can't go. What an amazing game by Hans Niemann, and like this video and also make sure to subscribe to my channel for more, and you can comment down that how many of you finds the solution. Like this video and I will see you in the next one. This is your host Bison signing off. Bye bye.